New year, the Black and Gold Report underway. Matt Sabados here with you on the UNCP Sports Network. I hope you had a fantastic holiday season with you and yours, but it's time to get back to talking about Braves athletics. We have got a lot to catch you up on from the change from 2017 into 2018. Down the line, we'll talk with the head coaches of both basketball teams, John Haskins and Ben Miller. But for the time being, let's go ahead and catch you up on how their teams have fared over the last couple of weeks. We'll start with the women's side of things.
Lady Braves trying to go 2 for 3 on the road trip, picking up their first conference win against Georgia Southwestern this past Saturday. And on Wednesday, they traveled to Aiken, South Carolina, and they were off to the races early. A pair of 3 balls. Nyla Allen now, she was doing excellent underneath the basket. She was only a rebound away from a double-double at the end of the day. And the three-point shooting was phenomenal. Allen, there she is again, a step inside the line. But look at that score, 30-22 past the half. Avery Locklear doing some great work underneath the basket. Melanie Horn continuing with the 3-ball shooting. But USC Aiken brought it close towards the end of the line. There's Malik Tuwheel for the Pacers, and Star Toomey finding her own offensive rebound and making it a game in the closing minute of play. But the Braves kept it close, even with some scary three-pointers down the line, and they were able to pick up conference win number 4 on the year, 60-54 at the end of the day. Immediately following that Braves win, it was, of course, the men's side to try and make it 8 straight wins, and they got off to a hot streak. Look at that feed from Brandon Watts to Akia Pruitt. Pruitt had a bevy of dunks in this game, and the Braves were nearly just as hot from three-point range. And there's another aforementioned Pruitt dunk, a fantastic day from the floor for Akia, but the three-point shooting was just as lights out as well. Nigel Grant and then David Struther right there. And Jamal Bryant right there. Braves shot a season-best 56 points off of the floor in that first half. They move on to the second half against USC Aiken, but the Pacers' three-point shooting got a little lights out themselves. Henry Bolton was a starting 5 for 5 from distance to claw the Pacers back in from a 21-point deficit. They brought it within 5 thanks to that three-point shooting, but the Braves were just able to hold on. That final free throw from Pruitt, setting a 25-point career high for the sophomore, and the Braves pull off win number 9 in the Peach Belt Conference, 93-87.
It's safe to say Braves basketball has been a little busy over the winter holiday. If you don't have enough of your basketball fixed yet, then don't worry. Braves basketball tips off in just a few hours' time. 1:30, the ladies will hit the floor against Clayton State, with the men to immediately follow in the PBC doubleheader from Lumbee Guarantee Bank-Court. Again, 1:30 from Lumbee Guarantee Bank-Court. And as always, we have the action for you right here on the UNCP Sports Network. Head to our YouTube page to watch live. Turning our attention now, Braves wrestling made a triumphant return home for 3 straight duels against Spartanburg Methodist, Queens University, and Limestone College. Let's see how they did.
Braves making a triumphant return to Lumbee Guarantee Bank-Court with 3 duels in 5 days. And guys like Luke McDonough really got things going fast. Quick takedown there, and here's Joey DiMartino really taking it to Spears from Spartanburg Methodist College. A first period pin. And that wasn't the only one from the Braves. Ferris Tia had a first period pin of his own, and so did Bryce Walker. 3 straight first period pins in that duel against Spartanburg Methodist. And the Braves had a tri-match against Queens that day. Tyler Makosi had one heck of a time as well. The 4-point near fall there, and he was just able to pull off the pin. The Braves still weren't done against Queens University in some of these exhibition contests. Things were really moving for guys like Tyler Makosi, guys like Ferris Tia, and the new Brave, Rodney Shepard. Andrew Colburn had one heck of a day in the next matchup against Limestone College, really upsetting the heavyweight bout against Gibbs and picking up the escape here in the overtime period to win the day 6-5. Braves go 3-0 on the trip with victories against Spartanburg Methodist, Queens University, and Limestone College before they head on the road to Pennsylvania.
Braves have a little more than a week and a half off before they head out of state for the Kutztown duels this upcoming Friday. and then we'll see what Pennsylvania has in store for UNC Pembroke. That's going to do it for us in this segment of the Black and Gold Report. Stick around. We're going to be joined by men's basketball head coach Ben Miller in our next segment, and the women's skipper John Haskins will be joining us down the line. Keep it here. We've still got lots to talk about on the Black and Gold Report on the UNCP Sports Network.
Connect with Brave Nation, the student rewards app for UNC Pembroke. Use the app to earn points by checking in at select events. Follow the action and watch the Braves live.
In the 109th minute, the Braves come up with the victory.
Don't forget to check in at events to earn points. More points equals more prizes and chances to be selected for in-game promotions. Set up notifications on your phone so you don't miss out on exclusive experiences. Share your check-ins with friends on social media and keep earning points. Download the app, attend events, and get rewarded.
Back in on the UNCP Sports Network, it's the Black and Gold Report. Matt Sabados here with you for segment number 2. And, of course, out of the holiday break, we have to catch up with the basketball team. They've had one heck of a season so far, and with head coach Ben Miller, it's been semi-turbulent, but you guys have found some smoother jet streams, if you want to keep it with the airline references. A 7-game winning streak at the time of this recording, an opportunity to make it 8 in just about a few hours' time against USC Aiken. What are your overall thoughts of the season so far, coming out of the last time we talked, from essentially the non-conference portion of the season to now when you're sitting atop the Peach Belt?
Yeah, as always, the Peach Belt is a great basketball league. A lot of parity from top to bottom. We feel fortunate to be, in first at this time, but we just got to stay focused on one game at a time. We've got a tough one coming up here with Aiken, but they're all challenging in this league.
What would you say has been one of the most difficult contests for your team? Because you and I were talking about it before this. There were some up and down affairs where it seemed like your team might have been out of it from the get-go. You look at the Lander contest where you were down 17-0 at the start of the game, and your team made that comeback look easy. My producer, Trevor Williams, he and I were conversing about it. Neither of us felt as though the Braves were out of that, even though they trailed 17-0. Your team makes it look easy. Has there been a contest where it's almost seemed out of reach?
I don't think our guys ever, hopefully they never feel like game's out of reach, until the last horn sounds. I think our guys do realize, the veterans understand how tough this league is, and I think the young guys are starting to get a grasp of, how good every team is, how talented they are, the coaching, the scouting. You just have to give it your best every night, and hopefully that's most nights that'll be good enough.
And you feel as though those young guys have definitely made some good progressions into joining this conference and joining collegiate ball in general.
Yeah, they still have their ups and downs. Their effort's been consistent. Their maturity and focus has been tremendous for young players. And so I think the old guys, Watts, he's been through the battles. Nigel and even Bryson, even though he doesn't play, their maturity and leadership, along with JB, he's a veteran now. Yeah. That really helps, kind of guide those guys through the challenges of the Peach Belt.
Well, talking about the maturation into veteran status, you look at the two key sophomores for your team, Akia Pruitt and Micah Kinsey. They've been having, you can't even necessarily say breakout seasons because their freshman campaigns were almost just as good, but they're on an uptick compared to that. How do you feel the fact that you've got such quality sophomores and then such quality freshmen for what should only be 2 leaving starters to complement your team now and into the future?
Well, it's nice to have young guys that can make that adjustment that quickly. I think the biggest improvement, I would say, with Akia and Mike has been on the defensive end.
Of course.
Obviously.
Akia is one of the top in the nation in blocks. So that's
he changes the game around the basket. Micah really changes the game with the pressure he can put on the ball. I think he's in the top couple in the league in steals. So having those two guys out there defensively, makes a huge impact.
And you feel defensively for those guys, considering there's such a size mismatch up between them, it must really keep opponents on their toes because it takes away a lot of their opportunities, one, to drive against a Kia, and two, to try and play conservatively on the perimeter because Micah is usually just going to swat that ball at you.
Yeah, he's, the thing that Micah's improved the most on is not giving up dribble penetration. Last year, sometimes he was a home run hitter. He was either going to get a steal or gamble and get out of position, which you can get away with in high school.
Yeah.
But at this level, if you gamble too much and you give guys those opportunities, they'll make you pay. So he's still being very disruptive, but while also containing the ball in the half court. And then it's nice when guys do get beat off the dribble, whether it's Micah or somebody else, you got a guy like Akia Pruitt back there challenging shots at the rim.
Now, looking at the offensive side of things, the first time we talked this season of the show, you would mention how Brandon Watts was running point through the first few games of the season while the freshmen had to get acclimated to your offensive scheme. We're finally to the point that you want it to be at, where some of the freshmen and some of the other guards can start to run point and Brandon's back to his usual positioning. How do you feel the team is adjusted to that mix?
It's been a good, steady progression, and we're in a nice situation where we actually have three guys that can run the point guard for us. And we play, sometimes obviously we start David and Tyrell, both can start the offense along with Micah, who comes in, and that does take a lot of pressure off Brandon. Now, Watts is still often the voice out there in terms of dead ball situations, making sure guys are on the same page in terms of what we're in offensively or defensively. But the young guards have really improved with getting us into the right set and transition or half court, attacking zones, different things. And they're still making mistakes, but they're growing every day.
Something that might be underlooked concerning your team is just their overall stamina, their conditioning, and the bench depth in general. Is that not once this season has your team, at least in my mind, looked gassed out there. How do you feel that shows not only for your staff, but just your players in general, that they're able to go the full 40 minutes at the very least and just continue to give their all on the floor like that?
Well, you got to give the players a lot of credit, because I think, guys like Nigel had a great offseason where he's in much better shape than he was a year ago. Yeah. JB is in the best shape of his life. Watts I don't think he's ever been tired. Going back to his freshman year, Akia doesn't get tired. Micah goes so hard that sometimes he'll need a breather. David and Tyrell are also very well-conditioned athletes. So, and Jamal doesn't play as many minutes. But one thing they've done a good job of, I think, is, and we challenge them, go hard enough that you do need a breather, and where they communicate, hey, coach, I need a quick breather, where they know they've got guys on the bench that can come in and, play well and impact the game. And, we do challenge them to go hard enough where they need a break. And I think if they communicate with us that way, it's easier to keep guys fresh over the course of a game.
So far this season, there's already been a lot of improvements, as we've said. The freshmen getting acclimated and starting to really find their own at the collegiate level, the sophomores making the extra step, and then the seniors, of course, exerting their leadership. You're atop the Peach Belt Conference now. What would you say, other than winning the conference and, of course, winning the conference championship, what is the next step this season for your team?
We spend one day in the fall talking about season goals, and that's really about it.
Yeah.
And then it gets back to the short-term goals, the grind, as we say, the preparation, the lifting, conditioning in the preseason. Yeah. The defensive stations, the drills, focused on scouting report. Just, we want our guys to dream big, but work small, work on the details, to find things that give you a chance to achieve those big goals down the stretch. So that's the challenge for us and any team, is being in the moment, being in, the practice today, the scouting report, the preparation, trying to play every possession as best you can.
All right, Coach. Well, hopefully they can do that in the next game and games of the future, see if they can maintain that Peach Belt Conference lead. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Matt.
Head basketball coach Ben Miller, head women's basketball coach John Haskins joins us next on the Black and Gold Report. Keep it here on the UNCP Sports Network.
Connect with Brave Nation, the student rewards app for UNC Pembroke. Use the app to earn points by checking in at select events. Follow the action and watch the Braves live.
In the 109th minute, the Braves come up with the victory.
Don't forget to check in at events to earn points. More points equals more prizes and chances to be selected for in-game promotions. Set up notifications on your phone so you don't miss out on exclusive experiences. Share your check-ins with friends on social media and keep earning points. Download the app, attend events, and get rewarded.
Back on the Black and Gold Report on the UNCP Sports Network, Matt Sabados here with you, and I'm joined now by women's basketball head coach John Haskins. Coach, first off, as always, thanks for taking the time to stick with us.
Good to be here, Matt.
Appreciate it. Your team, so far this season, middle of the road in the Peach Belt Conference, but they're on a big uptick at the time of this recording. Big victory over Georgia Southwestern and the Hurricanes. Out of that contest alone, how did you feel your team did?
Well, I think it's just good to get a Peach Belt Road win. I thought we played very well in stretches. Second quarter, played very well. We're aggressive offensively in stretches in the third and fourth quarter. I think we built the lead up to 17 or 18 points. So obviously any win on the road to Peach Belt's a good win, but that was a nice win for us.
Team's starting to really blend properly, especially into this new year with the transfers that you've had to bring and the transfers that you've had to start as well, and girls like Alicia Hardy and T. Graham. How do you feel the unity's been starting to just build with your team?
Yeah, I think just figuring out what we're trying to do and blending in a lot of new faces and them understanding what we want out of them. And I think it starts on the defensive end where we've gotten, I think, progressively better. We need to continue to improve, but I think we've gotten a little bit better on the defensive end, which has helped us. Just having kids play well. Therefore, stretch when we came back from Christmas, we had a lot of kids not shooting the ball well, and hopefully we're on the uptick there, and we'll start putting the ball in the hole because I think we've got a lot of good shooters and good offensive players.
Well, talking about players on the uptick, someone we definitely have to highlight, Brandy Robinson. She's really having a career year. She picked up her first start of the season just a few games ago, picked up her first career double-double against Georgia Southwestern. What's been the biggest improvement in her game overall? What do you think's changed for her so far?
I think one thing is being in there and being confident, and I think she's been a little bit more assertive. One of the things had an issue with Brandy is her assertiveness. And just, she's not the strongest kid. She's long and lean, and just getting her to play a little more aggressive and a little more assertive. And a lot of things she does is quiet. I mean, even watching her the other day, I thought she had a pretty good game, but all of a sudden she's got 10 rebounds.
She just sneaks up on you with her points.
It's kind of a quiet way she goes about it. But we're excited about because that can give us an inside presence that we need around the basket. So we're excited about Brandy's progress.
Now, about at the midway point of the conference season, but the remaining games that you guys have on your schedule could prove to be fairly tough. One of the top teams in the PBC, Flagler, you still have to play them twice. What do you expect from your team going into this second half of the year?
I'd say the other thing on the flip side of that is we've played three of the better teams on the road. We've been to Columbus, we've been at Lander, and then we've been at North Georgia. So we played those three teams on the road. We've still got Flagler coming up. We've still got a couple games with Aiken. We've got another game with Augusta. So we've still got some tough games ahead. But I think if we play well, we'll have a chance in every game. I think that the key for us is that we've got to be able to score the basketball. It's just hard to win against, particularly as Flagler. They score. I mean, they're able to score. You're not going to score 55 points and beat Flagler. And so we're going to have to play well offensively and put the ball in the hole and then do the job on the defensive end also.
Well, on the other side of the floor, the defensive end, your team does one fantastic job, especially in terms of rebounding, and that's something you've taken pride in this season. You've used the term lanky and long in general to describe your team's ability to follow their own shots or track down a rebound and box out some different players. How do you feel that they've progressed as the season has gone on, and how do you feel that they're doing at this point?
I still don't feel like we pursue the ball enough at times. We've got a team rebound. Our guards have to rebound, each and every one of us, and we've got to go after and go get the basketball. We are lanky, but we're not the most physical team in the world. So we've really got to compete to go get the ball on the glass and pursue the basketball. It's very different that I was looking at some stats today in the league, and that we're one of the better. I think we were 4th in offensive rebounding, which is unusual because Greg Popovich with the Spurs says he takes pride in saying we're the worst defensive rebounding team in the league. Well, that means you're getting back a lot, and we've always emphasized transition defense. But I think with Brandy's length, Nyla can go get it. Aaliyah goes get it. Alicia gets a lot of offensive rebounds. So and Avery's in there battling on the board. So we've got a group that can go to the offensive glass, and I think that helps us, particularly when we're not shooting the ball well, which we haven't at times.
Dating back to what you had said about Brandy Robinson just a few minutes ago, with your team's ability to just be aggressive on the floor, how do you feel? Have they gotten better at that as things have gone on? Because there's definitely got to be a sense of aggression when you're going for key rebounds like that.
Yeah, you've got to go after it. I think Aaliyah's as good as we have going after it, and not like can go get the ball too. But part of it's athletic ability, part of it's length, part of it's determination. Part of it's something that's you just got in you, to go get it. And I think we've done a good job on the offensive glass. We've got to get better on the defensive glass. That's where we've got to get better. I think sometimes we focus on boxing out too long instead of pursuing the basketball. So.
Again, at the midway point of the season so far, what do you think your team has made the most improvements on, and what do you think they need to make the most improvements on in the second half of
probably
the year?
Recently is on the defensive end. I think we've seen a little bit of improvement on the defensive end. We've always been a good defensive team. Again, looking at the league stats, we're not a good enough defensive team right now. But I do think we're improving in that area. And then the other thing I think is just scoring on a consistent basis. We can't have those long droughts. We can't go a quarter where we score 6 or 8 points. It's just tough in this league to go on that kind of scoring drought. So we've got to find a way to score consistently. We've got to knock down open shots. Again, with Brandy and Nyla around the basket, to be able to score around the basket. So I think that's the big thing. It's just offensive consistency throughout the 40 minutes of a game.
All right, Coach. Well, hopefully we can see that continue to trend in the upward fashion for the rest of the season. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day.
Thank you, Matt. Sure.
We'll take one final break. When we come back, we've got just a little bit more of the Black and Gold Report coming your way. Keep it here on the UNCP Sports Network. Back in on the Black and Gold Report for the final time this week. Matt Sabados here with you on the UNCP Sports Network. Just here to say so long and thank you for joining us. Of course, as always, thanks to John Haskins and Ben Miller of the basketball teams for taking time out of their busy schedule to sit down with us. And of course, thank you for taking time out of your Saturday to let us talk with you about Braves athletics. Next week, we'll talk with head wrestling coach Othello Johnson, see if he can catch us up on what the season has brought to him. And keep an eye out, folks, because we've got baseball and softball previews coming your way in a very short amount of time. We've got a lot to look forward to in 2018, and we thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you next week. This has been Matt Sabados for the UNCP Sports Network and the Black and Gold Report. Have a great rest of your Saturday.